Number 3. 1950 Crosley Hotshot. The Crosley Hotshot is our third most hated American vehicle from the 50s. The first sports car out of post-war America was more of a lemon than a legend. The Crosley Hotshot, tipping the scales at just 1,100 pounds and stretching 145 inches long, was a minor marvel of mediocrity, small, slow, and about as safe as a roller skate on a highway. Yet this little clunker made a cameo in the 1961 driver's Ed Scare film Mechanized Death, perhaps as a warning against bad decisions. The Hotshot was the brainchild of Powell Crosley Jr., the same guy who brought radios into countless American homes. But radios weren't enough for him. He wanted to make cars too, which he did with the enthusiasm of a child building a model kit, but with slightly less success. Amazingly, a Hotshot somehow managed to win the Index of Performance at the 1956 Hours of Sebring, a fancy way of saying it was the best of the slowpokes, averaging a blazing 52 miles per hour. But the real kicker was the engine. 0.75-liter four-cylinder with dual overhead cams, which wasn't cast in sturdy iron but rather slapped together from stamped tin. When the braze joints decided they'd had enough, the engine would loudly protest and overheat, bringing the Hotshot's short-lived joyride to a steamy end. We can't imagine why anyone would want to drive it. Number 2. 1957 King Midget Model 3. The King Midget story is a perfect snapshot of 1950s America, a time when the middle class could dream big, even if those dreams were small. Claude Dry and Dale Orchid, two Civil Air Patrol buddies from Athens, Ohio, set out to create a no-frills car that anyone could afford, unlike that fancy-pants Henry Ford with his highfalutin Model T. The King Midget made the Model T look like a Bugatti Royale. In the late 1940s, they launched the single-seat Model I as a $500 home-built kit. The kit included the frame, axles, and sheet metal patterns, leaving the body panels to be fashioned by local tradesmen. Any single-cylinder engine could power this humble contraption. The result was a delightfully awful little vehicle, the four-wheeled equivalent of a Briggs & Stratton-powered minibike. Amazingly, Midget Motors kept cranking out these mini-cars until the late 1960s. Their piece de resistance was the Model 3, rolled out in 1957, a little folded steel crackerbox powered by a mighty 9-horsepower engine. Finally, government safety standards brought the King Midget era to a merciful close. Number 1 to 1954 Hudson Jet. Let's give you the rundown on the 1953 Hudson Jet, the most hated car from the 50s. This was a compact American car, roughly the same size as a 1956 FE Holden. During a period when independent car makers in the USA were starting to feel the economic pinch due to a price war between Ford, Chrysler, and GM, Hudson CEO A.E. Barrett approved $16 million to develop the jet. Even by General Motors standards, this was a hefty investment in a market segment that American consumers had largely ignored. After all, why would anyone want a small car when they could opt for a bigger, longer, and lower one?